Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here with us. I'm Alyssa from IBF Careers Connect. Now, before we start the session, we would like to request that if you have any questions during the session, to post them in the Q&A window on your screen. If you use the mouse and hover over the screen, you will see a Q&A box. If you could post your questions in there, our speakers will respond to the questions live via audio. As such, without much further ado, please welcome my colleague, Mr. Adrian Wu, one of our IBF career advisors, and our esteemed guest speaker, Mr. Joel Fu. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Joel, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear Adrian.
Hey, hi, and to everyone in the audience, I don't know how many there are, but welcome. Okay, so now for myself, it's been a couple of months since I did the last session, okay? So I'm a bit rusty, and today just so happens I'm having a bit of a sore throat. So for the people who remember me to be like animated and stuff, I'm sorry. Today I cannot scream, I cannot shout. Definitely I lost my singing voice already. But anyway, I want to welcome everyone here today. Thank you for taking the time. Okay, so a bit of background regarding the session. When I first scripted the synopsis of the session, I wanted someone to talk about employment trends for the coming year, and what it might hold for job seekers. But I realized, as you know, when I was thinking about the content of the session, I want to be asking Joel a lot more than just employment trends. I want to be asking him about things like how to work with a recruiter, how to make yourself memorable, and things like that. So I do appreciate that you guys are here and joining us today. And so for me, as I've always said, the key thing for any IBF session is that I want you all here to leave this session with something tangible, either something that you want to practice or you want to do more of, or something you want to do less of. As long as this session is valuable to you and you can take something away from it, I think it's a job well done already. So we don't have, I was telling Joel, so and just so you know, I only met Joel literally 15 minutes ago. Okay, so whatever you're gonna see and hear is really just real life authenticity. I also want to just reiterate that if you have any questions, please feel free to write them, but we may not be able to answer every single question. But at the end of the session, I will give, or Joel and myself will give you an email address in which to write to, so that, if you want to register yourself or have a deeper conversation, individual discussion with, Huxley or any of Joel's colleagues, right? I think, feel free to do so lah. Okay. So overall, I just wanted to say, Joel, thanks you so very much for being here today. And
thanks a lot for having me.
Okay, great. I also wanna say that he and I didn't really rehearse so much, so I'm gonna hit him with some tough questions, I guess. So please forgive me, okay? If I put you on the spot, but really, we're among friends, so please feel free to be honest. So maybe the first question I wanted to just jump into, Joel, is the synopsis may have sounded a little bit confusing, right? So, you're part of Huxley, which is part of SThree. Do you want to give us a bit more details and information about, the group and how Huxley fits and things like that? Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
So SThree is the parent group. So we are headquartered in the UK, and in SThree we have 9 specialist brands. Here in Singapore, we have two brands in Singapore. Okay. So that would be Huxley, which focuses in banking, financial services, and technology recruitment. Yeah. And we also have Real Staffing, which focuses in life sciences recruitment.
Oh, okay.
So we have 9 specialist brands, but here in Singapore, we have 2. And we pride ourselves in being STEM specialist recruiters.
Okay, STEM specialist, which means to say,
science, technology, engineering. Yeah.
Cool. And is it primarily contract roles or full-time roles primarily, or do both?
Good question. So we do both permanent recruitment and contracting recruitment. Okay. So that will be across both Huxley and Real Staffing. So we do permanent and contracting recruitment for Huxley, and permanent and contract for Real Staffing, which is the life sciences industry.
Right, cool. And is it also okay for you to share some of the clients that you work with? I mean, the people that engage you? Is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe to just give you, I guess, an introduction to the floor. So, I lead up the sales and marketing team here at Huxley, permanent recruitment. So, my team will focus in banking, financial services, and technology.
Oh,
So, our clients, it's a diverse range of clients. So, it could be your tier one banks to a bit more of the boutique banks, from your fintech companies to your technology companies. So it's a very diverse range of clients that we work with.
perfect, because I think that's the sweet spot. So
Mhm.
thankfully, I'm talking to you. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to ask you is okay, I have this tendency to check out people's history. So I know that before Huxley, you were at Hayes, right? So
Mhm.
okay, then the next question would be your perspective in terms of how your space has evolved, right? So are you able to comment on the sort of roles that you saw, when you were at Hayes, and the evolution of, let's say, specific trends or hiring needs or requirements, or specific trends lah, over the years that you've been recruiting? I mean, what are some of the high level things that you've been observing?
Okay, so I think on the high level, let's take into account obviously the pandemic that happened.
Yeah.
Pre-pandemic, right, there was always a demand for retail bankers on the floor. There was always a demand for compliance people. There still is a demand for compliance people,
Mhm.
but when the pandemic came, there was a shift, right? Because we couldn't go back to the offices.
Yeah.
We didn't have platforms to work online. So immediately there was a immediate shift, a digital shift towards certain areas. So we definitely saw a shift in things like a demand in cybersecurity. I mean, if you look recently,
Yeah.
if you've read in the news, a couple of banks, there were some scams involved. So cybersecurity is definitely a huge need that we've seen evolve over time. There's also a huge need in data analytics, and obviously compliance is always a huge demand.
Right. And okay, so compliance, okay, I'm just extracting. The compliance thing is quite a traditional function. Are there any sort of like augmentations to the compliance, or is it still very traditional, or is there new requirements? Like, we're not looking for just a specific individual, we're looking for that individual, and plus the whole COVID situation, we're looking for these additional skills. Do you see any interesting or new requirements in the compliance space?
In compliance, I would say yes and no. I mean, if you look at let's take for example digital assets, or maybe a new crypto fund that wants to open up shop, right?
Yeah.
There will always be a CCO involved, and because it's such a new industry, cryptocurrency is still very new to everyone. But at the same time, who is in cryptocurrency? For example, if I'm a client, I want to hire a compliance person with crypto experience. That's not going to happen, right? So it's a yes and no question, where a client would appreciate the experience that someone has in, say, maybe traditional banking,
right?
He can then put into a new space like cryptocurrency.
Okay, so there's definitely some. And on that question, I'm quite curious to find out. Okay, so you mentioned like the data analytics, obviously data sciences. We've also identified things like cybersecurity and full stack development as very hot areas. How about the reverse, right? Like, do you see areas which are on the decline? As in, okay, put it this way. Let's be blunt, right? If you are in these areas A, B, and C, you should really think twice about it and do something about it, because your time is limited. I mean, I know it's quite extreme, but do you see any areas in BFSI, like banking, financial services, right? Or the other spaces that you cover are kind of like on shaky ground, perhaps maybe through feedback from your clients or something like that, or maybe just a less of a flow in these kinds of requirements coming to you? Are you able to comment on that?
I would say this is what I see, what I heard from clients. So don't take the 100%
as the Bible truth.
Okay, as the Bible truth.
Yeah.
What I've seen, certain roles that have been, I guess, not so important, would be onboarding, like onboarding specialists.
Okay.
These type of roles nowadays I've seen, there's certain kind of AI that can, do the job for you. So, I mean, like you said, to bluntly put, if you are in such areas, maybe it might be time for you to maybe think about upskilling yourself, which is obviously a very hot topic that, people talk about nowadays, right? Upskilling yourself,
Yeah.
because we're moving towards a digital world, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And again, a related question I want to ask is, so many years you've been recruiting, right? I mean, in the banking financial services space, are you able to kind of comment on areas in which your clients seem to be a little bit more tolerant in terms of where someone's background might be? Like, we're talking about, people who are slightly changing careers and so on and so forth. Obviously, okay, so for me, in my humble opinion, like if you haven't done it before and you want to move something to like data science, I think it's quite a leap lah. It's like, you're here and then data science is there and there's a bridge between, or there's a chasm between, and a jump would probably mean certain death for most people. I mean, so are there areas which you see are, the barriers of entry a bit lower? For people. I mean, I'm asking this on behalf of people who are contemplating a career switch, but nothing too drastic. You know what I mean? Like, because if it's too drastic, then obviously the chances are low, and that jump might not be doable without maybe an intermediary step, for example. So are you able to, comment on any of these
I think
things?
there's no like hard and fast answer to this. I think it's very subjective also, because all it takes is, one hiring manager to really see that potential in you, or, in that conversation, you just see that drive in that person. This person, let's take, for example, data analytics, right? If there's someone in the mid-career that wants to take up data analytics, right? He or she does his research. Okay, what are the certain courses I need to take? What do I need to make myself relevant?
Yep.
Right? Take that course, upskill yourself.
Yeah.
And that's part of the battle that you've already achieved.
Yeah.
But what you have to do next really is, because there's so many, we speak to people that, I've upskilled myself, but what have you actually really done with that, right?
Yeah.
It's just you need to take that certification and put it to use. So if you are considering, a mid-career switch, analyze first. It's a multi-strategy approach, right? First, maybe you can look inwards, right? Where are you now with your company? Is the company you're at, are they very flexible, or do they have the resources or tools to make you, maybe if you raise up your hand, they are very happy to make that move for you and make that happen, right?
Yeah.
So that's one, right? Look inwards. If that employer doesn't give you the choice, then okay, upskill yourself. I've got that certificate. What do I need to do, right?
Yeah.
Then you need to go out, speak to someone in the data analytics world, right? Connect with that person. Can that person be your mentor, right? Ask questions with that person. What do I need to do to get one foot in the door in the data analytics world?
Yeah, I think that's very important. And again, something that we share with our job seekers about the power of just putting yourself out there and networking. A lot of people are quite afraid of that, and it's not second nature to us. Maybe I'm generalizing the Asian mindset, but maybe it's not. But I guess, I don't know whether you agree, but maybe in these kinds of times, it's almost a necessity. It's not like a choice anymore. It's you got to push yourself out there if you want something. I mean, also talking about push, I'm just going to push you a bit. You mentioned about, you upskill, right? And you got this piece of paper. I think a lot of the people that we work with, and some people in the audience will probably say, but man, I already did that. And, I don't get an opportunity, for whatever reason, and so on and so forth. Right. Apart from that, apart from like networking, I mean, any other advice and any other nuggets of wisdom that these people can do? Because, I mean, my personal belief has always been, like big organizations, right? There's a specific hierarchy of hiring. It's just unthinkable to hire a 40-year-old associate, something like that.
Yeah.
Just right. I think maybe you've seen that because when I was, doing recruitment, I certainly saw it, right? And then, it's not for lack of trying. You go out there, you go and pick up a course, and then you try to use these courses. But then, you encounter these sort of like barriers or these walls, right? And the walls are stronger than your cert. So right. So I mean, what's your thoughts, man, about how can people? I mean, is it like a dead end battle or?
That's a very good question. I mean, I certainly feel, candidates who are trying a mid-career switch, or, they've already tried, they've got the cert, they've gone out, they've tried, but they're still hitting a brick wall, right?
Yeah.
I hear where they're coming from, but at the same time, maybe take a step back, right? You mentioned things like, a bigger organization might be a bit hesitant to hire someone a bit older. Take a step back, look at your strategy. What was your approach? You've done the certificate. Maybe it was a case of you were putting all of your eggs into this like huge MNC basket that you only wanted to work for these companies. But if that's not working, diversify that basket, right? Put it into maybe a bit more, startup companies, smaller companies, SMEs.
Smaller companies, yeah.
Right. And at the same time, you also brought up a good point, right? Maybe even consider, right? I think what we've really seen, because we have a contracting team here, we've seen, it's not a huge success, but it's still some success that a lot of people who want to make a mid-career switch, they are very open to the idea of taking up a contracting role.
Yeah, makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, right? Put yourself in the shoes of the employer, right? If they are in desperate need for, let's just say, a short-term 6-month maternity cover, and there's just no good candidate or suitable candidate in the market. Comes knocking at the door someone that so happens that he wants to make a mid-career switch. Is a role that checks the box, right? Obviously they will want to hire someone with some experience, but in all honesty, in the world of contracting, simply put, they need resources, right? So it's kind of like a quote unquote easier way for you to get in.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it totally makes sense, because I think for those people who joined us last year for the session that I did, because we did a session with a pure contract recruitment company, and I think she kind of reiterated what you said, right? Like, a lot of people have this perception about contracting. I don't want, whatever it might be. But if you're open to it, then the people that say don't want are no longer your competition, right? And then, you can put yourself in there. And who knows? From what I hear, contracting also has very good prospects of getting perm.
Exactly. I was going to get to that, because if you think about it, if you just make applications for a full-time permanent role, right? You're trying to make a switch. If I put my shoes as the hiring manager and I take a look at this person's CV and this person, maybe not. Maybe I would want to hire someone that maybe already has say 6 months of experience in that space.
Yeah.
So contracting is definitely an avenue where you can get your foot in the door, show your worth, and if you show, because think about it, right? If you're mid-career switch, right, doing a mid-career switch, I really think that you, in terms of soft skills, you are much better than a fresh graduate. You've picked up the soft skills in your employment career, right? You know how to navigate certain stakeholders. You know how to compose yourself, have proper conversations, ask the right questions, right?
Resilience as well, right? I mean, you're stronger. Yeah, can take a hit, right? Yeah, cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's great. And again, very much echoing what we say about the differences between, say, a lot of people, a lot of companies, cannot name who lah, but sometimes there's a preference for junior candidates versus this mid-career experienced candidate. But then, like what you mentioned, I think it's important to focus on what you do bring to the table versus a fresh person. Right? A fresh person has positives, but so do you if you're a mid-careerist, right? Because that's one of the things I've seen working with so many hundreds of people is that they're very resilient. They're not easily put down, because I mean, nothing wrong with the generation X or Z or millennials. Sorry, not X, millennials and Zs. I think one of the things I heard is that you say something that hurts their feelings and they're halfway out the door. Something. Whereas if you come from an era where you can take a hit, I think that's a pretty good selling point. So thanks for that. On the topic of like STEM, IT or technology, right? I don't know whether we covered it, but if someone was trying to make a mid-career switch into tech, right? Obviously, they're quite a number, and who really has not a lot of background, sort of advice do you think you would give this person? Okay, so yeah, maybe upskilling is one, but anything else you would offer this person?
I think pretty much echoes what we just discussed, but I think if someone were to make a switch into IT, just be mentally prepared. Okay, it's not going to be a bed of roses, right? It's going to be challenging. It's not going to be easy. And at the same time, like I said, yes, you need to connect with, join. Let's say you want to do data analytics. Join the data analytics LinkedIn group, connect with people. They might be on Facebook, they might be on, I don't know, some IT, what do you call it, IO, like where they hang out and when they code, there's the stuff. A bit of an unorthodox way would be, because if you think about tech people, where do they hang out? They hang out on Reddit. So I mean, it's a bit unorthodox, but that's what you want to do, right? Because you want to be different
and get
from
into the flow, the river of the population.
But I think the most important thing is, yes, you need to upskill yourself, because that's, you need to certify yourself. But you really need to connect with someone that can give you advice, someone who's already in the industry that you want to get into. Pick their brain and be sincere. I think that's the most important thing, right? Be sincere. What are your challenges? Tell them what are your challenges. Don't take that ego away. Tell them what are your challenges. What do you really want to do? How do you get there? And if you take that ego away, have an honest conversation with them. That will help. And obviously, it will help if you speak with recruiters. Which is another story.
I want to ask you something about that later. Okay. Okay, so this is all rhetoric, right? As in, like, so far, is it? But I want to ask you, I'm gonna put you on the spot. I mean, do you have examples of people that you work with that they seem to be quite different, bit of an underdog, but you successfully placed them, and more importantly, what were the winning traits or things about this person that ultimately got him or her a job? Because this is the proof, right? I mean, people here, and I say, oh man, are we sure or not? Yes, I want to ask you, have you seen examples of that?
Yeah, definitely. So this placement actually happened in December last year.
Oh wow, cool.
So
you have one.
Okay. Yeah. So it was a candidate. She was from banking. She was in coverage banking. But she was doing coverage banking in China. So she came over to Singapore because her spouse was Singaporean. Unfortunately, I don't know whether it was just unfortunate, her luck. It was very difficult for her to get back into coverage banking. There were no clients that wanted to give her employment pass sponsorship.
Oh, okay.
So she upskilled herself. She ended up spending 2 years with a tech firm.
Wow.
So I actually, as and when I catch up with her, hey, how are you? How's the role going? And she tells me it's going great, but I banking is my niche. If I have any opportunities that I can share with her, definitely just give her a call. So we kept that conversation always open, and eventually there was a role with one of my clients that saw the potential in her. She was like an underdog.
Yeah.
Why, to your question, why what kind of traits did she display?
Yeah, exactly. What kind of traits?
So I mean, it's a very good question, because I mean, as a recruiter, if you think about it, at the end of the day, we are human beings also, right? So we are not. I'm not like a magician, right? If you tell me I want, can you get me this role in company ABC? I can't, say abracadabra and I can get you that role, right? It also
Yeah.
depends on what kind of live roles I have in my portfolio now, what kind of client relationships I have. But if you think about it, also at that point in time, do my clients have the mandate or the budget to open a headcount for a candidate that I have, right?
Yeah.
So that's one, right?
Yeah.
As a recruiter, if you speak to a recruiter, remember that we are human beings, right? I answer like 50, I make 15, 20 phone calls a day, and every conversation is very different, right? Because I talk to people from different walks of life,
Yeah.
right? And these are not just candidates or clients. So that's one.
Yeah.
So the thing that makes a candidate stand out for me personally is if a candidate is very honest and transparent about what they want, right? I think there's a certain I guess stigma against sales recruiters, like, oh, this person is he might just be using me to canvas for a job
Yes.
that he's trying to chase, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I mean that might happen to certain recruiters, but not all recruiters are the same, right? There are good recruiters out there. If the candidate is transparent and from the get go, I can tell, hi, I'm so and so. I want to have a chat with you, and I can really tell from it's like an elevator pitch, right? From the
Yes.
first 15, 30 seconds, I can tell if this person is sincere or not.
Yeah.
Right. And I can tell in the first 30 seconds, okay, this person is very sincere. This person, if this person is busy, this person will tell me that, okay, I can give this person a call back and this person will pick up. So, okay, if I call this person back, this person picks up and they're very apologetic. Oh, so sorry, I was in a meeting, but I'm free to talk now.
Yeah.
And I break the ice and I can definitely tell within that 30 seconds, okay, this person's worth my time. Right. So from which then we have, once the ice is broken, we have because I much rather work with candidates who are very honest and transparent, right? So once I get that from the first 30 seconds, then the conversation is very smooth, and I can just I can have like a half an hour conversation with the candidate, like, tell me your experience in banking. What did you do? And what are your challenges that you are facing now? What is the role what's the ideal role that you're looking for? If that's not the ideal role, what is maybe, if if you don't get that A role, what is maybe a A- role that maybe I can find for you? And this person can tell me, okay, if this company isn't able to give me this A role, then this is what A- means to me. And I would then keep that in mind. And when I speak to candidates and there's a role that comes up, I'll call that person again, because that person leaves a very good impression of in my mind, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I just want to add, and I'm going to hijack the session right now from you, because I want to share with you a story, and also the people in session right now. I don't know whether this is going to help you guys or give you hope, but I spent my first 10 years doing what Joel's doing in a couple of firms myself. So it's always a treat to speak to someone like Joel. So I was a recruiter. I remember this one placement that I did, which was legendary. It was the smallest fee I ever made, literally the smallest fee, but it was the most gratifying fee I ever made. So let me tell you about this. And for those people who are here, see whether or not you can relate to this, and see how, whether or not this candidate situation is much more serious than yours. And just give you hope, right? That things can happen. So when I was in a big recruitment firm, like, my gosh, 2007, 2008, right? I got this CV, and this is before we had, tightening of EPs and whatnot, right? but it's still an issue. So I got this resume for a job that I was trying to fill, investment banking. That's my space. And he's Russian, right? And he, and his resume, okay, Russian name. His experience all outside of Singapore, Russian, whatever it is, right? I didn't think too much about it. Did a small stint in credit, some good names, but didn't think too much about it because, obviously we're looking primarily for local faces, right? So I didn't think too much about it, but he followed up with a phone call. And I think, I can relate to what you said, Joel, because he really made an impression on me. Very humble, and he just, I don't know, maybe as a ploy, just says, I'm actually very near Phillip Street because I was at Phillip Street back then, or whatever it might be. Do you have some time? I can buy you a coffee. I thought myself, okay, fine. I mean, I could use a coffee. This sucker is going to pay for a coffee for me. So I went downstairs, Starbucks just downstairs, right, Phillip Street. And I met this guy. And in that 30 minutes, right, I think, right, even though he bought me coffee, I think he sort of gained a lot from it. So Russian guy, when I first met him, he told me he was actually here in Singapore on I don't know, was it a work permit? And he was working in where? No, Fulushu complex, Russian guy in Fulushu complex, servicing handphones and delivering handphones around Singapore for his boss, who had applied for a work permit, stating a salary which was more than what he was actually getting paid. Right, just to make the number cannot reveal, like it's against the law or whatever. But the fact is, the humility was there, and I got to know him. I asked, hey, what do you want to do? So he said, definitely IBD lah, investment banking. And I asked him, so what are you doing to get that aim? Are you focused enough? Show me, right? And throughout the conversation, he used to tell me all these nuggets of wisdom. He said, he spends his weekend, okay, in the weekend, I would get emails from him asking me to look at certain things he published. He say, hey, Drin, I just practiced. I mean, I just did this hypothetical merger model, and Pepsi buys Coke, or IBM, buys Apple. This huge hypothetical merger model that he does. I say, man, hey, don't you have a girlfriend that you want to go out with? He says, well, yeah, girlfriends come and go, but this is within my control. This is what he told me, right? And he was so good, right, that I took the model, I looked at it, and I actually said, I need some eyes on it, right? So I sent it off to a friend of mine who is in IBD in Hong Kong. And he was in a sort of like a VP already or whatever. And I say, I need eyes on this model. And then I swear to God, 15 minutes later, he calls me up. He asked me, who's the guy that did this model? Right. And then I said, it's just a candidate I'm using. He said that normally we don't do models like that because this is far too intricate already. We already have templates. You're telling me this guy is doing it from scratch? I want to see him. Right. Wow. Yeah. So there was one. Yeah. So, and then, and also I also had so much fun with this candidate, right? Because there was so much chemistry. It's crazy. I mean, I spent so much time with him because, like what you mentioned, there was this chemistry going on, right? I sent him to an investment bank. I say, I will put this guy against any of your candidates. I literally did that. So the hiring manager was kind of like, okay, yeah, let's do this, right? So he took the guy, did the financial modeling test, whatever, and my guy came out and like he got the job. So at the end of the day, here was this guy out in the open doing all this handphone thing. And every time I met him, he was carrying a black plastic bag with phones inside. Means, and he was making like $2,000. And then at the end, right, because of hard work, knowing how to work with me, and just working hard, he got a job, and that was like $12,000 straight away, right? Because investment banking pays a lot, right? Yeah. I went to his wedding, like a couple of years ago. He even calls me when he's, to invite me for his baby shower. Because one thing about Russians, I mean, they're very, very loyal. So I mean, for everyone out there, I think I just want to tell you, if you're in a space right now and it's not that great, take heart, because like what Joel mentioned, and I also have my own examples, right? There's always something that you can do to kind of maximize. And this guy got his, the one that I was working with, he got the door slammed on him many times, but he just never gave up.
And I think I also want to echo that, right? Because that same candidate, I put this profile out of the candidate to many clients, and she
Right.
interviewed for a couple of my clients, but
Right.
she unfortunately didn't get the opportunity. But she was very humble, and she said, okay, what went wrong? And then because of the chemistry and I believed in her, I was like, okay, we can take this feedback, and next time when we go for our next interview, we learn from this, and we will get one eventually, right?
Yeah.
And we did. I mean, it might have taken a bit long, 2 years, but
2 years.
in the end.
Yeah. So for myself, it took me 15 months because I was counting 15 months to get this guy. And for those people who are in the audience, I hope not, you don't take 15 months. But I think the story for me at least, and I don't know whether you echo this, Joel, is that it will happen. You just have to have faith and be in a positive mindset, do the right things, have the right practices, the right discipline every day, and to face the day and to just carry on doing all these things like what you had mentioned as well, right? Okay, so I mean, that was just me hijacking the session. So sorry. Okay, back on track again, and about you. One of the things I always hear from candidates as well, because all my questions are very candidate centric, what they tell me is, I work with recruiters, right? They often ghost me, ghost GHOST, as in like, wow, how come they call me and then after disappear? Is there a good reason that this happens, or is there anything that we can do, or is it these are the guys that give recruitment a very bad name? Is there anything?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. This happens to. I'm sure it slips your mind sometimes that you forget to reply an email, because I've some of my candidates, they message me on WhatsApp. I have like a backlog of messages from my candidates, and there's just, in terms of my day or a recruiter's day, there will be times where it might slip my mind that I might not reply.
But you will, right?
I will.
You will. Okay.
I will reply. But at the same time,
be patient.
Like I said, right?
Do you want to say that?
I guess be patient, but look, at the end of the day, we are human beings, so sometimes we forget, right? But we will get back to you. But maybe but people, those candidates that ask the question, sometimes they ghost me. Maybe these candidates need to maybe think, maybe did they leave a good impression on the recruiter?
Maybe. Never thought about that. I think maybe, people approach it from a customer service thing. I mean, even if I'm the nastiest person in the world, you should respond to me, right? Or something like that, right? But it's good to know that, at least for you, I mean, if people message you and you take some time, is that it's not like you're never going to respond. It's that you will respond.
And I think maybe one thing to add also is we are the middleman. And there are things that my clients, sometimes my clients, they're just, maybe it might be like, end of year, we got our auditing review, and they just don't give me a response in 2 or 3 weeks. And sometimes, because I have so many clients, so many candidates, that it just might slip my mind. But it's not that we don't forget.
It's human as well. Okay, and I think your analogy, my story, our stories just now, I just want to summarize that in one question, right? Okay, so Joel, like, I know that recruitment companies are incentivized to give your clients a plug and play solution wherever possible. That's why, people pay 50 grand for a guy, right? I mean, I don't want some left field idea, right? But is there some way, or what would it take, if there's an answer to this, what would it take for you to fight for someone, perhaps like the way I fought for that guy? I mean, like, is there, you know that the client's looking for a specific individual, a specific thing, and he's going to pay you a lot of money for that, right? But what would it take for someone to work with a headhunter? How do you have a really dynamic and synergistic relationship with a headhunter such that, all of a sudden, right, yes, client, I know you want this, but I have an option for you, right? I have an, I mean, what would it take for someone to inspire you? Like, can I use that word? A candidate to inspire you in that way, so that you go to bat for the person.
Good question. So I'll start off from what I said just now, right? That 15-30 second call, that initial call, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. I'm sure you agree with this as well. And once you nail that 30-second introduction with the recruiter, like I said previously, be honest and transparent with your ambitions and also your situation. and why you are looking out. We are not, maybe sometimes candidates think that, oh, why this recruiter is very nosy. Why is he asking me so many questions, right? But you have to think about it as well, right? We have to do our own due diligence. We are pre-screening, our the candidates for our clients as well.
Yeah.
Right. So sometimes I think maybe candidates might be a bit like, oh, this recruiter might be asking too many questions. Can we just get on to like what can you offer me now? Right. But that's not the case, right? I really want to know. I really want to get to know you and understand what are your ambitions.
Yeah.
What are your push factors right now? What are your pull factors? Why are you looking for a new opportunity? What's that opportunity that is gonna pull you away from your current employer? And remember, it's a two-way conversation, right?
Yeah.
It's not just the recruiter. Okay, this is what you want. Okay. And then, then it's not like the candidate is like, okay, I expect Joel to call me in the next few days to give me like 5 roles, right? It's going to take time, right? Because we also have other mandates that we work on. It might not take 5 days. It might take 1 month. It might take 2 months.
Basically an understanding between
exactly mutual. Give each other the mutual respect, right? We had that open and honest conversation already. I know what you want. You know that I'm going to do my best to go out to market and also
because if you successfully place the person, you also earn a fee. So I think the objectives are aligned, right? I mean, it's not like you're just like twiddling your thumbs and you don't want to make a fee from a person. It's just that it's like what you mentioned, you have probably a lot of things to do. Okay. I know I'm cognizant of the time and I'm looking that way because I'm looking at the clock, right? Just a couple more questions, and I think this one is just basically to round back up to the topic, the theme of the topic. Now, 2022, crystal ball, in terms of your team and what you do, right? What are some, as in like, what's your crystal ball in terms of roles that are going to continue to be hot, throughout the year? I think this question would probably be very useful for people who are, thinking about, okay, 2022, I'm probably going to upskill, like what people have been telling me, what should I do? So in terms of what you guys are actually seeing, or maybe your team, right? 2022, crystal ball question, what do you think is going to be the hot themes, topics, areas, functions that are definitely continuing to grow and, do your best billing?
So definitely we see a trend in 2022, due to the pandemic, digital shift. So there will be a demand for roles like your cybersecurity specialist, data analytics.
Okay.
I would say those are like the buzzwords.
Yeah, basically like there's an overflow from like the last year to the year before that about this whole digital umbrella and all the things around it. Okay, yeah, cool. Anything else?
And I think those are the hot roles. But I think if you think about the pandemic, right? What has happened with the pandemic? I also see a lot of, well, not a lot, but certain demand in the front office and banking. Hong Kong used to be like the regional hub for Asia for all the AUM inflows. But right now, I'm seeing a lot of these, a lot of my clients are like, hey, I think maybe Singapore might be the new hub for Asia. So there is a demand for a lot of wealth management bankers and private bankers as well.
Okay, yeah, I think we see that too. Okay, cool. Okay, and I also forgot one of the things I want to ask about the synopsis is also about the whole Great Resignation thing, which is kind of a curious thing for me. And this is promised my second last question, right? Before we take a few questions from the crowd, I think we have a bit more time. A number of people have been talking to me, right, about, Great Resignation means a lot of people are leaving the job, which means I can take the job. What? I suspect that they're not seeing the full picture here. As in, like, is it a
good question?
Yeah. What do you think about this whole Great Reshuffle, Great Resignation? Because according to data, close to 50% or more see themselves leaving a company, right? And therefore, I can, therefore I think that it's easier for me to get. I mean, I think there's 2 ways of looking at it, but don't hear it from me. What do you think?
That's a great question. Yes, I am. From what I am seeing, what we are seeing, there is the Great Resignation is in 2022. To your point where the candidate said, "Oh, that means I can get the job." No, why? Right? The question is why, right? The Great Resignation means there will be jobs out there. Candidates will be leaving, they will be looking for opportunities. But what does that mean? If you are
There's
the
more
candidate,
yeah.
there's more to it, right? What maybe typically would have been 3 to 4 candidates in the interview process could very easily now be 5 to 8 candidates in the process. So the competition for that vacancy is higher. So my advice would be, if you've already decided that, maybe it's time for you to move on or to make that switch, then start early before everyone gets on that resignation boat.
Yeah, because right now it's like probably before bonuses, right? So there's that window. Okay, got it.
Exactly. Yep. So raise your hand up, float your profiles out, make your applications, and yeah, get ahead of the curve.
Cool.
And also, I mean, think at the same, I always say this, but the hiring managers, they are also human beings, right? So like, if you can stand out and speak to that interview with the hiring manager before that boat of candidates that come by and make a good impression, he's gonna remember, oh, I remember I spoke to Adrian 2 months ago, versus like, okay, right now my HR team, they're gonna bunch me up with 4 interviews in one day and I'm mentally exhausted. Maybe I don't have time to ask the question to really find out whether this is the guy or not, or girl or not.
I gotcha. Yeah, that's great advice. And me being opportunistic. So like what Joel said, polish yourself up, get yourself ready, come and see a career advisor, okay? And then we'll try to get you, in the best possible shape. Okay. And, I want to take a few questions. I don't think we can take all, but, with your permission, Joel, later in the chat box, if it's okay, can you leave an email address? I think the singapore@huxley.com email to everyone here in the club. Okay. Maybe you can type it in. So for everybody who has a question, want to register yourself with Joel and the Huxley team, please feel free to write to the email address that can you type it in, Joel? Later? Yeah. Okay. Okay. And while you're doing it, just 2 things. I'm going to start answering a few questions. But also at this juncture, guys, Alisa, if you're there, can you launch the survey? For those of you who have actually been in our sessions before, you know that the survey is very, very important to us because we need to know what you like about the session, and obviously important about what kind of sessions you want to see more of next time in the future in this year. So I would really appreciate as many of you, take like literally 15 seconds to do this survey. It would really, really help us. So thank you in advance. Okay. So Joel, let me hit the first question. Oh, I know. Hi, Balvinda. The first question comes from a person I work with quite closely. So Balvinda asks, hi Joel, how do we select a recruiting company and a specific recruiter to work with as a partner in job search? Reverse question is, how do the recruiters select you and want to promote you to employers? It's currently a black hole at the moment. I think we kind of covered it a little bit.
Yeah. I think we kind of did, but maybe to just kind of summarize what we discussed.
Yeah.
We are human beings, right?
Yeah.
Candidate is a human being, recruiter is a human being. 15-30-second elevator pitch on that phone call, right? I know sometimes it can be a bit exhausting to speak to maybe other recruiters that might not stand out to you. But whenever a recruiter does call you, and maybe it's a new recruiter that you've never spoken to, just have that 15-30-second pitch in mind, and be very sincere in that conversation.
Yeah.
And make it a two-way conversation. And I think that will make you stand out from the other candidates that recruiter is working with.
Okay. This is another question from an anonymous attendee, but I kind of think that this one links a little bit in terms of what Balvinda would probably be interested in, and also probably a lot of people here. So this one asks, I'm 57 years old, Singaporean who's worked in a large global bank, recently given the redundancy notice and the role replaced by a younger foreigner. What are my chances getting hired again, especially in the areas of risk and compliance? So maybe if you can't really comment about risk and compliance, but let's take a step back and think, 57 years old, I want to get re-employed. How do I do that? What are your thoughts on that?
I think there's no right answer to this. But at the same time, that doesn't mean there are no opportunity. There will be opportunities out there.
Good to know. Good to know. Okay.
And I'm very happy to link this person up with my colleague Niwas. But the chances are there. I mean, maybe right now you might feel a bit, demotivated because you were replaced by someone younger and a foreigner. But I'm sure there will be a future employer that values your experience in risk or was it compliance that I saw?
Yeah, risk and compliance.
Right, and that's a function where experience plays a huge part in banking, right now. So I would say don't give up. There will be opportunities out there, and if you believe that there's an opportunity out there, I think that's already half the battle won already.
Yeah, and obviously how you fit with that opportunity. What's your unique selling propositions pertaining to that opportunity and how you pitch yourself. Okay, cool. Okay, let me see. So that one of them is about Great Resignation. We covered that one. Working with a recruiter like yourself, right? Is the ATS? This is another one. Is the ATS then used as well? I mean, like if a resume comes through you, does it then go? Do you know whether it still flows back into the applicant tracking system or ATS system via the
Sorry, question
client?
again?
ATS, the ATS system.
The tracking system?
Yeah, so the tracking system. So if you are a candidate, you apply directly to a bank or whatever it is, you have to put it in, and then presumably a robot is going to decide your fate, right? But if they go through you, do you know whether or not they still have to get through the ATS system?
That I can speak for my space. So
yeah, please.
For banking, right?
Yeah.
For example, if I have business terms with the bank, typically almost 100%, almost 95% of my clients would give me access to their applicant tracking system using our Huxley email.
Okay.
And then we will use that email and represent that candidate. I hope that answers the question.
Oh, use the email. Okay, yeah. I hope. Yeah, I mean, to me, I think
so. We use the email, but in that when we upload the application for the candidate, we would have to put the candidate's name and the email address of that candidate.
Oh, I see. So basically, what you're saying.
Yes, we will be released the role from the bank. And then once we release the role, we are allowed to refer a candidate. So once I click refer a candidate, then I will be able to put the candidate's name, email address, and phone number.
I see. Okay, so basically, you actually put the resume up to the ATS. Okay, cool. I didn't know that. It was so different when I was doing it. Okay. Yeah. All right. Look, we have only a couple of minutes, and I'm sorry, guys, for the people that I couldn't really get the questions answered. But very thankful that Joel, you left a couple of email addresses. I don't know how I feel about you leaving your direct email, so you get ready, my man. You get ready for a flood. If you said you were busy, good luck. But the final thing that I want to say to ask you, right, is a question I ask everybody. The final words of advice that you like to offer anyone who's on today's session, be it in a job, contemplating a change, currently unemployed, looking for a role, but in general, what sort of advice would you like to offer people who are just here with us, regardless of whether or not they have a job? I mean, in terms of career, their next career and things like this.
Maybe to summarize, I would say strategize first, right? Come up with your strategy, and maybe also at the same time be flexible with that strategy. If your first strategy didn't work out, then be flexible and change that strategy. Second thing I would add would be to don't give up. There will be opportunities there. All it takes is just one bite, right? And also at the same time, if you're looking to upskill yourself, don't just get that certification, right? What are you doing with that paper?
What are you doing? Yeah, exactly. Go out there, push yourself out there.
Because there are so many. There's so many. Sometimes there are candidates like, oh, I got a certification in this, but what are you doing with it? Like, are you going out to speak with someone?
I think that's super important. Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. I guess we're right on time, 3:30. For those people who know, if you see the chat box and you press the chat, you'll see Joe's left a couple of email addresses, Singapore@Huxley, Joel.Fu@Huxley. I've also put in a email address to anyone who doesn't know IBF Careers Connect and they want to have a career session with a career advisor like myself or one of my colleagues. Write to us. We'll be happy to help you, kind of look at some of your blind spots. If you need some work, you haven't done a resume in 10 years or whatever it might be, you're feeling a little bit, uncomfortable, with interviewing, come see us. And we'll try to get you back into shape again, get you an injection of confidence and things like this, right? And also, feel free to also, like what Joel said, multi-strategy, reach out to Joel and his team. If they can help you, I'm sure they will, because I just want to let you know, I didn't have to beg Joel to be here. Actually, they reached out to me. So I think from a corporate social responsibility perspective, I really, give thanks to the SThree group for reaching out to me and almost pushing me
Thanks
to do
for
this.
giving
Which
us
is
the
great.
opportunity as well.
Yeah, man. And I hope this is not the last time that we speak, but I know that moving forward, we can count on you to help our job seekers. So I really do appreciate it. And again, for everyone in the audience, thank you for those, for everyone that's here today. Also, thanks for those people who have nicely helped us with the survey. I really do appreciate it. And we're gonna have like a few more sessions, different programming in this year, and there are at least 3 already in February. So keep look out for the IBF social channels, and hope to see you in this coming year as often as possible. Yeah. I guess that's it, man. Thanks, Joel, for being here.
Thanks for having me. Really
Yeah,
enjoyed the
and
chat. I hope we gave something tangible away to the audience.
that's it. As long as it's tangible, they can do something different, think something different, just have I'm happy. So moving away from all the very big picture rhetoric stuff.
Yeah.
So I really do appreciate for being my partner in this and giving them like some real advice in terms of how to work and your crystal ball for what's happening this year. And yep, good luck to everybody. Have a good rest of the week and we'll see you soon. Take care,
Thank
Joel.
you.
Talk to you soon. Bye.